I married a non-Muslim, and it was the best decision of my life. It's easy to look down at this woman and think that she's made the greatest mistake of her life, telling ourselves that anybody with a sane mind would never do something like this. But what if I told you that us as a Muslim ummah are contributing to these things happening? I married a non-Muslim, and it was the best decision of my life. I was born and raised in a Muslim household with very strict and abusive parents. I went through a phase of not believing in religion and then found my way back to Islam. When I turned 22, I started considering marriage and relationships. I've tried everything, telling family members and friends about my intentions of getting married. I tried Islamic marriage websites, Muslim dating apps, and I was never able to find anyone. Eventually, I convinced myself that it wasn't my destiny to get married. When I turned 25, I met a non Muslim man. He was everything I ever wanted: smart, kind, caring, calm. I had a lot of contradicting ideas on if I should marry him, and I finally decided to say yes. To avoid family drama, we got married through a civil ceremony with no wedding. I expected guilt, remorse, confusion, but instead, I felt nothing but happiness. Everything with this man has been perfect. We had sex for the first time, and it was perfect. We went on a fancy honeymoon, and it was perfect. We came back, and I moved to his place, and I felt at home. I never felt like I truly belonged anywhere, but now I do. I have my own place. I met his family, and although I had to hear some weird comments, he always defended me, and he did it in a way I felt safe, not awkward. Yesterday, I was making him breakfast and dropped a really expensive teapot on the ground, and it broke. His reaction? To ask me if I'm hurt and cleaning up all the mess himself. While he was cleaning, I went on to make tea again. In his mind, it was probably nothing, but for me, it was such a peaceful and happy moment. Right now, I'm waiting for him in bed, and I feel nothing but calmness and peace. I don't know what to say. Is this a sin? Because I never felt happier. It's easy to look down at this woman and think that she's made the greatest mistake of her life, telling ourselves that anybody with a sane mind would never do something like this. And yes, there is truth in that. But what if I told you that us as a Muslim ummah are contributing to these things happening? It goes without saying this video is not about whether this is permissible or not, halal or haram. We know it's not, because Allah has already made that clear in the Quran when He says, "And do not marry your women to polytheistic men until they believe. For a believing slave man is better for you than a free polytheist, although he may please you." But instead, this video is about how we as a Muslim community are contributing to these haram relationships in the first place. It's extremely taboo and uncomfortable to talk about these issues in the ummah because it basically predisposes that we have an issue to begin with, that we have to acknowledge that in the first place. And that's very uncomfortable. But if we don't acknowledge it in the first place, we can't do anything to fix it. And if you're a Muslim or even a non Muslim watching this, watch this video till the very end, because if you're not careful in 2025, especially in the future, not knowing what's going to happen, your daughter might be this girl in the Reddit thread if you don't raise her carefully. May Allah protect us from that. Timestamps are going to be in the description box down below. But trust me when I tell you this, you're going to want to watch this segment by segment. Without further ado, let's dive into the video. I want to first hold accountable one party who's not the scholars, they're not the system, it's not even those that are opposing Islam, those that are infiltrating the deen. And they're not the kids in the haram relationships either. Do you want to know who it is? It's the Muslim parents. Now, not all Muslim parents, but bear with me while I explain. Many Muslim parents leave their home countries and immigrate to the West to give their kids a better life. May Allah reward them for their struggle because it was not easy. However, what they don't realize in the slightest is how different the West is growing up for a child than their childhood was abroad overseas. They don't realize that with this current educational system, this kufri programming that occurs from a young age, having the internet at your fingertips, kids are exposed to more than we could have ever imagined in just a few seconds. We see the Muslim boys getting locked up to no good, but we don't see what led them to the streets in the first place. We see the girls selling their dignity at $1 a pop in the name of freedom and financial independence, but we don't see how we could have caused that in the first place. Now, this doesn't mean we don't have personal accountability as kids and as youth, but many Muslim parents have idolized and glorified the ideals of the West, literally at the expense of halal and haram. That material success, dunya, credentials, degrees, these are many times more important than your deen. So much that they'll put school and university above marriage many times, causing these issues. Now, I'm not saying school or university isn't important, especially for men as Muslims. Allah has made us the provider and protector over women. But I'm talking about the extent where you're 22-year-old, 24-year-old wanting to get married, and your parents are telling you, no, you don't have your master's yet. You don't have your doctorate yet. You're not ready to get married. But kids are doing zina in high school, middle school, and sometimes even elementary school in the West. Parents have no idea. So they continue with riba, interest loans to put their kids through this system just for dunya stripes, paying overinflated tuition for an industry that will be replaced in AI by the time they graduate, while 16-year-olds are making millions online. I'm not anti university, but this is a conversation for a separate time. But parents really don't realize how filthy and toxic university culture in the West really is. They don't realize how there's cesspools of haram filth, how thousands of kids, hundreds of thousands of kids just go to the West in colleges to just party and just live a degenerate life. They're lost themselves and they think paying $100,000 for a social sciences degree will help them find direction in life. So these parents will tell their kids to lower their gaze, but then send them to the meat market while they're in their hormonal prime, where they're interacting with the opposite gender 24/7. And many Muslim parents, astaghfirullah, know their kids are in haram relationships, but it's okay because they're in school and they have their priorities straight. Excuse me? Wallahi, this disgusts me. And before anyone says, oh, I'm judging or I don't know what it's like, I'm a parent myself. I would never send my kids to a university, like a public mixed university, taking riba loans, rubbing skin to skin with non-mahram every day just for grades. Inshallah, I'll never face Allah and make excuses like, oh, Allah, it was 2025. Riba is unavoidable. They needed a way to provide. There's so many ways to make money now without going to haram avenues. Especially when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, marry off the free singles from among you, as well as the righteous bondsmen and bondswomen. If they are poor, Allah will enrich them from His bounty. For Allah is all bountiful, all knowing. But we don't have this level of trust in Allah, this tawakkul that we pretend to claim to have, do we? We say we have it, but then we always write off these dunya insurance policies just in case Allah fails in His promise. These are difficult things to confront, but if our actions really don't line with what we believe, then do we really believe in what we're saying we believe? Many parents have this wishy washy, blind perception of their kids. They don't realize that we have grown up in this hypersexualized world that you go outside and you're already exposed to 20 half naked women just like that. And they lie to themselves saying, oh, my little Fatima or my little Aisha would never think of men like that. She's not ready for marriage. Are you crazy? See, if kids are committing zina at 8, 9, 10 now, they're not too young to lack these impulses and desires. Yes, they still may be immature for marriage Islamically, but we have to talk about how these desires are there and we can't act like an ostrich with our head on the ground, acting like they don't have these impulses. And this brings me to my next point. And this is one of the most important points, if not the most important point in this video. And it's that human beings by design have a need for love, bonding, intimacy, nurturing. And what's beautiful about Islam is Allah doesn't shun us for these feelings. Allah doesn't make these taboo. But instead, He urges us to express these feelings in a halal avenue. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned, O young men, whoever among you can afford it, let him get married. For it is more effective in guarding your chastity and lowering your gaze. And whoever cannot, they should fast, for it will be a restraint for him. There are many religions that suggest having this monk-like, almost nun-like, asexual proclivity that to be higher and closer to God, you must actually free yourself completely from these desires and act like you don't have any of them. And then you got people in certain institutions taking advantage of hundreds and thousands of little boys. Islam isn't like that. Islam understands that a man and a woman have desires, and it's okay, as long as we express them in halal. Allah knows that men desire marrying multiple women, and there's nothing wrong with that, provided that they can be just and fair. Allah knows that men and women were not created the same. In this age of men and women are exactly the same. This might sound very contradicting to you, but I assure you, we are not the same. So if you send your little Ahmed or Fatima to public school where they're going to be primed from a young age, playing, teasing, and playing tag and all this with the opposite gender, and then eventually they go to the meat market for 10, 12, sometimes 16 hours a day to get their degree, and they come home at midnight saying that, oh, I was just taking notes on a PowerPoint, and you believe them. Not to say all the kids are lying, but you yourself as a parent will have a share of the blame. Do not be willfully ignorant, my dear fellow parents. Understand that times have changed. Zina is worse than not getting a degree. But if you put your trust in Allah to avoid haram for His sake, just for the pleasure of Jannah, then perhaps if it's best for you, Allah will allow you to get married and then still finish your studies, if it's truly best for you in a halal permissible manner. And that's why women like this, they grew up in a very cultural Muslim by name, apparently, family that wasn't really practicing correctly. Maybe it was more about halal haram. Maybe a big problem with parents many times in our generation is they have overemphasized halal and haram religiosity and not spirituality, feeling that connection with Allah. Not to say that lawfulness is not important in the deen, of course it's important. But Aisha radiallahu anha mentioned if the first things revealed were, abstain from alcohol and adultery and fornication and halal and haram, then not many people would have been Muslim. I'm paraphrasing it, but here's the hadith. And this brings me to my next point. Now I'm going to address the youth, the young adults that are committing these things and in these haram relationships, lying to themselves that it's not a haram relationship. Everyone's doing it, or I intend to marry this person anyway. Do not be fooled by the plot of Shaitan, for he plays the long game. He doesn't do anything overnight. The young kids, the ones that think that they know better than their parents, that the only way to learn is through experience and making mistakes. Arrogance called empowerment. I was there too, and that's what I want to tell you guys first and foremost. I grew up here. I mean, I was born back home in Bangladesh, overseas, but I came to the West when I was 4, and I grew up in Toronto and in the greater Toronto area most of my life. So I understand what it is to have both sides, and especially grow up in the West. I worked in Western environments where I saw everybody in this flirtatious kind of dynamic. I mean, you guys know how it is working in Western environments constantly. And the thing I want to tell you guys is the greatest lie that you've been sold as a Muslim living in the West is that this system is fine and you're the problem if something bad happens. And I'll explain what I mean by this. Make sure you pay attention because this is where things get very important. What I mean is, we live in a world where they'll say working in this mixed gendered, flirtatious, touchy feely work environment is fine and that's normal and that's what's the default. But then when something happens in the workplace, like a workplace relationship, that's a fireable offense. Then that shouldn't have happened. That's a no no. Or you can visit your professors alone after hours at 10 p.m. before an exam, and it's completely normal, but if it happens, that's academic misconduct. Or if women go to dangerous areas at night wearing nothing, no clothes on, and some perpetrator comes and does something, then, oh, it's the man's fault. Of course, yeah, it's the man's fault. I'm not going to absolve him from responsibility. But what was she doing there in the first place? What was the student doing alone with his professor in the first place or with her professor in the first place? Allah doesn't tell you to go live in a degenerate environment and then just don't put the pen in the ink. Allah tells you, do not even go near zina. So, of course, being in mixed universities, working in a mixed environment is going to lead to attraction with the opposite gender because that's a male and female polarity. The greatest lie that we've been told is living in the West in these haram avenues, haram environments, haram places. That's fine. And only when something hits the fan, that's when it shouldn't have happened. And that's when accountability is brought. And all I'm suggesting, I know it might be a concept to many people watching this in the modern day, if you disobey Allah and you put yourself in these haram situations to begin with, then of course, when something happens, you did it to yourself. That's why the Prophet ﷺ told us to tie our camel and put our trust in Allah. Oh, Muslim women, you've been brainwashed to tell you that whatever you feel is best for you is actually what's best for you. Therefore, the woman in this Reddit thread, just because it feels okay, everything is fine. Allah tells us in the Quran, you might like a thing which is bad for you, and you might dislike a thing which is good for you. Oh, Muslim men, you've been sold a lie thinking that, you know, these alpha male R pill YouTubers telling you to chase material success and running through chicks and just letting go of this desire to have a family is what high value man means. Or you're still level 1 as a man where you're a male womanist and you think that this postmodern world is perfect and you're politically correct. Either way, real manhood is protecting your family, not letting them figure it out and be independent little girls and little boys because you're lazy and you don't want to step up to the plate. And this is truly why I have my high value husband program in the first place. And I've been leveling up Muslim men for this exact purpose for the last 5 years, alhamdulillah. So if you made it this far and truly are a Muslim man that wants to finally take control of his life, to awaken the most masculine, high value Muslim man inside, that's true to his Islamic roots and wants to deepen all of his fatherhood and husbandry skills, especially if he's single and not married yet. But even if you're married, enter the link down below in the description box to get on a free call with me to see if you're a good fit to work directly with me one-on-one or even the program to work on it yourself.
One of the best choices I made in my life has to be investing in my own health and fitness through Faiyad. Faiyad helped me drop 40 to 50 pounds and he got me to the leanest point I've been in my life and the best shape I've been in my life. He helped me turn my health and fitness into a true lifestyle. He really helped me become a better man. He helped me become more confident.
It's the best investment you can make ever. The reason why I joined was for fitness. I left with so much more than just fitness. Once I started on this program and optimizing my testosterone, many things improved. not only in business, but also in, marriage, alhamdulillah. He'll help you navigate your marriage. He's like the older brother. I learned more in 3 months with FaiyadFit than I learned in 3 years by myself. Allahumma barik.
It's not a typical coaching experience. Fayyad is more like at least in my experience, he's more like a brother. He's more like a friend that you can rely on, that you can trust, who doesn't judge you, who just wants to help you improve. He truly is one of those rare people who does things for the sake of Allah. My life has improved drastically since working with him. And not only have I gained a better version of myself, but I gained a lifelong brother and friend in Fayyad.
No matter what situation you come from, no matter where you start, Fayyad is going to do everything in his power to ensure that you get there, inshallah. As a revert myself, Fayyad has allowed me to gain so many new insights into Islam and just attain a stronger place mentally that's just transferred over to nearly every area of my life imaginable. Fayyad is like a big brother figure. He's going to hold you accountable, and he's going to check in with you frequently to make sure that you're making the progress that you need to make. And honestly, it's like it adds to the experience that much more that you have someone like this in your circle, making sure that you're making progress day after day.
If you're looking for a one-on-one coach, someone who has your best interest in mind, it's Fayyad. Honestly, he'll make dua for you. That is how genuine this guy is. Allahumma barik. May Allah keep us this way.
It was very much a sunnah-derived approach to weight loss, to the way we interact with food, to the way we interact with the energies around us, the way we interact with our thoughts. There wasn't a sentence that he was saying that he wasn't infusing with the words of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, a Quranic verse. All came from the sunnah, and it just made it so much more powerful. Made me understand that, these two things, my struggle with my weight, my struggle with my addictions in this dunya, is very much tied along with my spiritual struggle, which, before that, had a major effect on my spiritual relationship, on my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, alhamdulillah, that's been my biggest victory, and I'm forever grateful for that. Fayyad's grown to be someone I'll call a brother for life. I've shared things with him that I haven't shared with anybody else, and it's because of that trust and that credibility that he builds with you.
I would highly recommend anyone who wants to take their health and fitness seriously, anyone who takes themselves seriously, to just invest in Fayyad, invest themselves.
For anyone that's thinking about joining with him, I'll say definitely give it a try, give it a yes. And I'm sure you're not going to regret it. He's very flexible in the way he talks to you. He's very open, he's very direct at the same time, which you need that. So it's something that is that was very good, mashallah.
Highly recommendable to get into his coaching sessions. And I would recommend him to anybody.
If you come here and you're ready to make a change and you have the desire, he's going to lay out exactly what you need to do, and it will be easy, inshallah.
I tried other coaching. I never even followed through because it never really clicked. But with this guy, Allahumma barik, you can just feel the pure intentions. You can just tell.
Don't hesitate. This is the year. We are going into the new year. It's I don't care what anybody says. A new year is always an inspiring time to really recommit to the things that you want to do. Take advantage of that motivation and that drive. But also make sure that you're setting yourself up properly to get past that honeymoon phase of the first 3 or 4 weeks of the year by implementing a coach that knows what he's doing, that's had success with himself, meaning that he is someone that was exactly where I was at several years ago, and he put in the work and the effort to get to where I want to be, and he was very inspiring with that. So don't hesitate, pull the trigger, you will not regret it.
As for the ladies, sisters, surround yourselves with other sisters that are good for you, not just good to you, that encourage you towards living a lifestyle with treatment that's good for them, not just good treatment. They're actually on deen, not just hijabi besties that talk about their latest tea on what guy slid into their Muzz DMs in the group chat. Comment down below what you guys feel after watching this video. Let me know any other video topic ideas. Inshallah, make sure you stay subscribed, smash that like button. See you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.